broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
It's like, you just gotta keep going with it. A little shoulder action. Yeah, we all got it. Yeah. All right, we're doing it.
Yours is like perfect. Spot on. Keep going.
Just work it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for MTV's Awkward Season 5, Episode 14, WTF Happened Last Year, which is totally accurate for this episode, because for most of it, I felt like I was Tamara. I was like, WTF is happening right now, guys. I don't even know. LOL, OMG, all of the above. I'm Tiona Hobson. Happy to be back for the 5B season.
Yes.
And woo! And joining me tonight, I have two lovely people on the other side of the table for me. I have Veronica, Gabriel.
Yep.
And Greer Grammer, woo, who plays Lissa on the show, y'all. So, I mean, we're hoping to get a lot of Lissa insight tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope I can give it to you.
I have no doubt in my mind that you can give us the Lissa realness.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Lissa, she was there a lot tonight, and I loved seeing this sort of, because last week we got to see where everyone's coming home, and we see that, Lissa is the nanny and all that stuff, and then tonight we get to see how she ended up there. And you come home for your fall break and birthday, aka you dropped out of school, Lissa.
What happened?
Well, so here's how the showrunners explained it to me.
Okay.
And you kind of hear Lissa say it in, when she's like, you have to go to different classes and there's so many things about books and you have to do this and it's crazy. So she joins a sorority and she gets so involved in her sorority and like that side of life that she just forgets about college.
Oh.
Like she stops going to class because the sorority is a full-time job. So I don't know what she's doing there. I don't know what position she holds. Like she's not president. She's not anything. Maybe she's like pledge class president or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But they were like, yeah, basically, like she just doesn't go to class. She's forgotten about it, and so she gets frustrated and she's failing, and so she drops out. Because like, what's the point? She realizes that she wants to be a Palo Sales mom.
Which, no shame on her game.
Yeah, like she was there. I mean, her mom sent her to Vanderbilt for her MRS degree.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to say it. Yes.
Full on for her MRS degree.
Full on for the MRS degree.
That's the thing she's sad about when Lissa drops out. She's like, but there are so many boys. Vandy breeds breadwinners. And I'm like,
Sadly, I have a lot of friends whose parents sent them to college for MRS degrees.
Oh my goodness.
Some of them, it worked out great for them. Very happy.
very happy.
Others, they decided, to get their education, have careers, and their parents were like, man, I sent you to college to get an
a
MRS.
husband.
Like, to get out of my bank account.
Yes. You did this all wrong. You got a job.
What, you're just dating, guys? You're not settled down with anyone yet? You have a career? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
So the first...
drops out.
Yeah.
Are we going to get to see any of her in the sorority?
No, you don't. You don't get to. I mean, I think that this is really the only episode where we kind of do the flashback to college. I don't even know if with Lissa and with Sadie and Tamara. I'm so used to saying Lissa and Sadie.
I know.
Breaks my heart.
That side eye you gave in last week's episode was epic.
I know. It was so sad.
The voice is like spot on. I can't do that. Just like, oh my god.
I know. So Sadie and Tamara, I don't think you see much more of them in New York. It's really just all talk and memories. So we didn't get to film any of Lissa in her sorority house, which would have been so fun.
Yeah.
I really feel like that would have been so great to see, and it would have been like I imagine, the opening of Legally Blonde in a way of, like, going through the house, and they have the card, but, like, it would have just been following Lissa, like, handing off things and, like, checking in and make sure that everything's, like, smooth.
And what makes it even better is that it's only the fall still, so she didn't even last that long in doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's like October. School starts in, August?
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Like 2 months.
So,
2 months in.
Yeah. Which is funny, too, because fall break isn't usually during Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, it's more like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too. Maybe she's just like, it's fall break.
It's fall break.
Mom, I'm coming home.
It's not.
It's not.
There's no break.
Yeah.
There's a permanent break.
Well, what I also love is I always loved Lissa and Jake together. So I liked when Jake was with Tamara too, but it was nothing on Jake and Lissa just because Lissa is like his mom. In a way, she takes care of him, tells him what to do, what he needs to get done to get to the next level. And that's what Jake needs in his life because he just wants to sit around and like strum his guitar and, sing at the restaurant.
Yeah. That's. So, he's a little sad about singing at the restaurant, but he's like a little bit of a baby. Like he's like, I shouldn't have left college, or I shouldn't have taken a gap year. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, come on, get off your butt. I'm gonna go get you a better job at the country club.
I want to know, how many times did you guys have to do that scene with him and the mariachi band? Like, I would be laughing so hard when he comes around the corner.
We did it a fair amount of times. It wasn't too bad, though. We were able to get through it without laughing. It's more, music is hard to do because, like, whoever was playing the guitar was actually playing the guitar, and I think Jake messed up the words a couple times because it's in Spanish, or like they corrected him on how he was saying things. But then, they didn't because he was like a white kid working at a Mexican
so it kind of worked a little bit better.
So it wasn't too bad. But I mean, like I can hardly get through any scene without laughing. I mean, especially with Molly and Jillian. I mean, like, we'll sit there and laugh hysterically, and they'll have to be like, hey, get it together, stop it. And then we can't look at each other, because then if we look at each other, it's like one of those things where you're just going to keep laughing.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, in the previous season, seeing Lissa with some of her one-liners that she comes out with, because I also went to a very Christian private school, so I know a lot of people like Lissa. And the things that would come out of her mouth, I was like, I don't think I could say that with a straight face. I don't know how you get through being Lissa all the time. And do people treat you differently because they think you are sort of on Lissa's level?
Yeah.
Well, people are very shocked first to hear that my voice isn't as high as hers. Although sometimes when I come on interviews and I do stuff, and I can just get in her voice, but it's not as like, well, blah 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 blah.
Like that.
Yeah. So they're very shocked. They're like, you sound different in real life, and I'm like, oh, well, this is how I talk. And people are very surprised when that I'm not as dumb, I guess, or naive. Mm-hmm. I don't like to call Lissa dumb because I don't think she's that dumb. But people are very shocked to see that I'm actually smart and educated and like went to college. Like, people are very surprised that I graduated USC.
Yeah, but her character is growing. We've seen her grow a little bit.
100%. Nice. It's funny. I watched the pilot recently because it was on Hulu. They have all the episodes streaming right now. Or all the seasons, and I watched the pilot, and it's so different. Like, the change in Lissa has been so much, even so that my voice is lower in the first episode, and I do play it more just like, she should go to church. Like, it is more dumb and mean. Like, Lissa was more mean first season, and then she kind of, but she got sweeter. Season 2, she stood up to Sadie for the first time in her life, and now she stood up to Sadie several times. But she stood up to Sadie for the first time at the end of season 1, and then, went to Jesus camp with Jenna, and there's been a whole progression, so she's nicer now.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that, and I wanted to ask you about your audition process, because I noticed the change in Lissa going throughout the seasons, and even just so, like, when we first started off, it was maybe just Lissa and Sadie saying something mean and then disappearing for the rest of the episode, and now you're really there, and you're part of this group, which we love having you around. So what was that sort of transitional process like for you in the audition process?
It was interesting. So the audition process for me was a lot easier than everybody else because I wasn't coming in as a series regular. Lissa was a guest star, possible recurring. So even having her as much as she was in season 1 was not planned. She was, maybe going to pop in for 2 or 3 episodes. Maybe, if they liked me in the pilot.
Yeah.
So I came in, it was one easy scene. It wasn't even in the pilot. It was just like a fake scene that, they made up to read girls for. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going to get it because there was this line about her eye color being green. And I'm trying to think of what that thing was. But basically, I just played it dumb and mean because I think the description was just like one of Sadie's followers, dumb, ditzy, mean cheerleader. So I was like, okay. So I went in there and I didn't think I was that funny. I did it twice, and our casting director was like, "You're really funny," and I was like, "Thanks,
Thank you. That means a
and
lot.
walked out because I was like, "That's what all casting directors say."
Yeah.
When they want you to leave, they're like, "You're so great. Thank you so much. Have a good day." Whereas when they think you're good, they're like, "Okay, we'll see you soon," or whatever. Not that, but they're much quieter instead of being like, "You're so good. You're so good."
Yeah. It's like when they like you, they don't want you to know that they like you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, I don't want to let them know.
Yeah, so I went in once, and then I got the call that I booked the part a couple weeks later after they had done the actual series regular auditions and casted everybody, and then I went, and from that they really liked me, and they liked the presence, and they liked the idea of Jake and Lissa, and because at that time Jake and Jenna were a thing, which people forget about too.
Yeah.
And so they brought me back, and from that, the character just kept growing, and they just kept finding more things for me to do, and it was really fun.
Yeah,
so I'm happy.
I like that. That's great. What's been your favorite Lissa thing that you've done?
Oh, that's hard.
I'll let you think about it, and we can come back to it if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's popping out to me is Jesus Camp was so fun. Season 2, I got to dress up in that Eve outfit, and it was it was this nude unitard with flowers. It was so good. And Clark, who was the gay character that we had for 1 through 3, or maybe just 1 through 2, I can't remember. He was Adam, and he was also in this nude onesie or whatever, and it was so fun. But I don't know, there's been a ton. I like every Sadie and Lissa moment, but specifically the ones where they get to have the close friendship stuff. I really liked last season we had the talk about God, where Sadie was God is nice or whatever she said. God is nice. Where Lissa's freaking out and having an identity crisis, and she's like, "What are so many heavens?"
I love that too. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about Tamara and Sadie's newfound friendship too.
Yes.
Because it's been, I guess it's not hard for me. I just feel like you see Tamara and she's out of her element for the first time in her life, and she's used to being the Jenna at school. Jenna's having a great time over in college. Everyone's inviting her to parties, and then you have T, who's sitting over here and trying to invite herself to dinner and getting rejected, which is probably the most embarrassing thing you can do.
I know.
And you're like, oh yeah, I'll come, and then people are like, oh yeah, no, actually,
we don't want you there.
Don't want you there. Oh my gosh,
it's so awful.
And then in comes Sadie to save the day.
I know. It was perfect timing, I feel because anytime that you're looking for friends, you kind of fall back on an old friend that maybe you weren't so close to before, but now you are. So I feel it'll be a good relationship for them.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think we've been hinting, or not hinting, I guess, but Sadie and Tamara, I feel have always had some sort of understanding of each other, and they can go head to head with each other, and they were on cheer, and we've kind of always, they have these good moments together where they don't completely hate each other, but then they're together, but it's Tamara will always be Jenna's best friend, especially in high school. So to have her not be just solely with Jenna allows her to actually look at Sadie differently, and kind of, I don't know, lets that friendship We explored.
I kind of feel like when you're friends with someone, if my friend has a problem with you,
You
then
don't like
I
them.
inherit that problem instead of getting the real story or finding out if I actually like you on my own regard.
Absolutely. I think that's how most people are, and I think that's definitely how girls are in general. Like if my friend has a problem with somebody, whether it's another girl or another guy, like, we don't like you, we don't talk to you.
Yeah, so it's really giving them a chance to get to know each other and see that. I always thought that they were very similar people.
Yes.
And so it's good to see that, because sometimes when people are too similar, they either love each other or hate each other. And they're actually getting along right now, which is great. And it kind of creates a new love triangle square thing between, like, Sadie, Jenna, Lissa, and Jenna. Wait, I said Jenna twice. Yeah, but you guys get where I'm
Sadie,
going.
Lissa, Tamara, Jenna.
Tamara, Jenna, yeah. So it'll be interesting now that everyone's home, because we've already seen glimpses of Jenna and Lissa both kind of being like, what's going on? Why aren't you with me right now? So I'm interested to see how that whole dynamic works out, because maybe we'll see by the end of the summer Jenna and Sadie being friends.
It's possible.
I feel like they've already kind of went on the path to, like, become friends. Like, they're going down the path to become friends, because we've seen them, like, get a little bit closer than they were when the show started off. They hated each other. Couldn't stand each other. But now they can stand being around each other. They have the same friend group, so.
Yeah.
But then with this whole Jenna and Maddie situation, I don't know, because Sadie is totally Team Maddie, ride or die right there. That's Maddie's ride or die.
I know.
True.
Is Sadie.
Yep, they've been friends forever. They're the besties.
So I have a question for you guys, because the last panel for this show, we went back and forth a lot on this. Do you guys think that Sadie and Maddie would ever sort of work in the love romantic relationship kind of way?
No. I don't. And I think that if you had asked me season 2 and maybe even possibly season 3, I probably would have said yes. But I feel like season 4 and 5, and I guess a little bit of 3 too, we've seen them come so close together as friends that, and not in the way that, like, you know, best friends that could be together. It feels so brother, sister, friend, protective. It feels different than, like, a possible romance. And I think it could have been that before, but I think now it's just, I think that they will always be there for each other, but I don't think there's any sort of, like, romantic connection.
Okay. I was going to say that if they did, I don't think it would last. I think they would try it and realize that they're more brother, sister, and then it would work.
I always imagine it as that Friends episode when Rachel and Joey are first trying to kiss, and Rachel keeps laughing and giggling because she's like, this is weird, you're Joey.
Yeah.
It's Joey. That's how I see those two. I don't see them together at all, so.
No. Yeah. Well, and Sadie had a crush on Maddie. That was, you know, a whole thing in 1 and 2. And then they kissed in season 2 at New Year's party. And then he, like, passed out or whatever else, and she was all upset. And I think after that, like, she got that out of her system. Like, she was able to be like, okay, like, we made out, like, he fell asleep. So, nothing there.
Got it out of my system. I now know that it doesn't need to happen, so she's able to move on with Sergio.
Yes.
Who I love. I love Sergio. And they're on a break for the school year, but getting back together this summer, but we all saw how that
worked
out. Because, I mean, ain't nobody got time to be waiting. I mean, it's 9 months.
Things come along when you're waiting, when you do that. Like,
and it's always because you're not looking for it that it happens somewhere else. So
I kind of feel bad for her too in a way, because she was expecting to come home to that.
Yeah.
But I think maybe she should have thought about it like, this is a long time, like what you were saying. 9 months is a long time to wait for someone. So, man, he moved on. I'm so sad now.
So sad. Little Sadita.
I love Sadie so much. Like, I'm such a fan, and it just breaks my heart. And there was so much last week of the, like, my girlfriend, like, because it was like it hit you with Sergio when she's like, and who are you? And she's like, his girlfriend, and, like, walks away, and you're like, no. And then, like, Jenna's like, who's the sloppy rando? And Maddie's like, my girlfriend, and you're like, what is happening?
But it's so real coming back after your
From
first year of
college.
college. And
Everything
just
has changed.
Everything's different, and you thought you stayed in contact, especially with social media nowadays.
Yeah.
You can really know what's going on in all your friends' lives, but then you don't realize how much they've actually changed.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're back around each other and just being like, oh, wow, this is 9 months ago this worked.
And
Yeah.
isn't Jenna not on social media anymore?
Yeah, no,
so she's
she's
like
not.
way off the grid.
Yeah, so she's at this hippie college. I'm calling it that. In Maine. And she's having a great time there. And I'm so happy for her for finally fitting in and feeling in her element because
Finding her people.
Yeah, she found her people, and it's always what they say, in high school can be terrible, but it's, wait for college because that's where the misfits fit in and
Yeah, you find yourself in college.
Yeah, you find yourself in college. So Maddie comes for his visit, and everyone's so excited. Her roommates are like, oh my gosh, you guys are the perfect couple. And I'm like, yes, you are. Go Jaddy. I love it. We're together again. I've waited for this for so long. What
I know.
happened? And then we learned, Maddie, I thought Maddie was acting strange the whole time he was there. And I was like, something's going on with Maddie.
Yeah.
I know Maddie.
I know
Like,
Maddie.
I know
Something
Maddie.
is wrong.
Jenna, why don't you
Something-
understand that something's wrong with your boyfriend is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But, she just wants to see her friends, meeting him and having a great time with him, but he's not really fitting in. And I think that's probably the problem,
Yeah.
too. It, like we said,
Yeah.
with distance, you can see each other and talk to each other through Skype, but you don't realize
much.
until you're in each other's worlds how much you've actually changed.
And I was thinking too, last week we were talking about Maddie being a frat boy at his college probably. So for him to go from a frat boy to Jenna's hippie friends, like he's just totally out of his element.
Yeah, well, that's why, he's like, so that was a party? Like, there wasn't even a keg.
Yeah. He's like, you have lame
She's
friends.
like, there has to be a keg to be a party? And he's like, yeah.
I mean, that's how my college experience.
Of course.
I was looking around. I was like, I don't even know half the authors they're rattling off right
I
now. I have to go
know.
Google some people right now.
When they're like, who's your favorite? And he's like, I like so-and-so. I was like, good for you,
Yeah.
Maddie. Because, like, I wouldn't have even, I would have been like, excuse me?
I would have said, does J.K. Rowling count Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Anyone? Like, that's the last
I'd
book
be
I
like,
read.
Twilight?
Twilight, yes.
That's
No.
old. That's old now, right?
yeah.
Like Twilight. Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Games.
There we go.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, so, I mean, you see him just not really in his element, and they go to that party, and he tells her that he quit his soccer team, which, I mean, the whole reason he went to Berkeley is because of soccer.
Yeah.
So, for him to quit that, I would have liked to see a little bit of what was going on in Maddie's college experience,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Why did he quit? What was
Yeah,
behind that?
because you're not starting. Most freshmen don't walk into a college team and start. So I
Yeah.
wonder if he was having a situation maybe a little bit like Tamara's, where he was having a hard time too.
To fitting
Fitting in
Well,
other
he says
places.
that, nobody cared that he left.
Yeah.
Which is, like, sad because, if Maddie were to have quit high school or were to have quit soccer in high school, like, everybody would have been devastated. And... yeah, I mean, she says, like, most freshmen don't start. And he's like, well, not me. Like, that's never happened to me before. And I think it's, he just was in his...
Yeah, he's not used
He
to
was
it.
used to being the star.
Yeah.
He was used to being that guy. And, like, that's what everyone always warns you about in high school, being, like, popular and cool in high
Yeah.
school, is that, like, you peak and you don't get any... That's all it is for you. And, I mean, that's what they warned... That's what Theo and Cole told Jake last year, which is funny because, like... it's also kind of true, but I think Maddie was expecting to do more at college, and then it just
Didn't happen.
it wasn't the same as high school.
Yeah, I will say that some of the things that the girls said at that party, though, offended me as a California native.
I know.
They were like, "Oh, you don't seem like a surfer," and I'm like, "What are you trying to say? That surfers look dumb, or
It's
they
so
call him a dumb
mean.
jock?" I played
Oh,
sports, and I was like, "Wait, hey."
I got real offended at the, like, are you just an all-around dumb jock? Like, I was like, because that's so mean.
Yeah. See, I'm from Michigan, so I'm not a California native, but I wouldn't assume that people surf or all people surf.
Yeah, and I just think that
lived
the
here for a while,
surfing scenario, like the persona that goes with it, is kind of
Yeah.
like a.
It was, I'm like, it's making me angry to be like, but Jenna doesn't seem like she surfs. And he's like, I don't surf. And she's like, yeah, but you seem like you do.
It's like, you seem like you're dumb.
What does that mean? As someone, I'm like, I surf. I don't. I did. I learned to surf when I was like 4th, 5th grade because, Blue Crush came out.
Oh my God. Of course.
Yeah.
You got to.
I was like, I have to be a surfer now. And I learned, and I surfed for a couple of years, probably until like 7th or 8th grade. And then I got in a fight with my friend who had the good beach key. So I stopped surfing because I had no good beach to go to anymore.
Oh my gosh.
That's a California
That's
thing
a California thing to say. I didn't grow up that close to the beach, so
Yeah, no, me neither. I pull out the guitar when Taylor Swift comes out. I'm like, oh, I want to play guitar. No, it sat in my basement for years.
I'm pretty sure I have like 3 guitars that are just like at different places that I've never learned.
Yeah, I think in college everyone was like, oh, I'm going to learn how to play, a song. So, that part in the party where everyone's drunk and then someone busts out a guitar.
Yeah.
And they're playing like 3 chords and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so good. Yeah.
You're so good. And this one, he's like, no, I only know this.
Yeah. Well, let's quickly get into some predictions because sadly this has been so much fun, but we have to wrap. I was like, oh my gosh, 30 minutes, that fast.
Oh my Lord.
So let's quickly get into a little bit of predictions. We kind of see some of what's going to happen. I'm excited for Jenna and Luke. I loved Luke. And I was so mad that she messed it up with him, and the other panelists used to yell at me because they didn't like him, and I was like, no, that is the guy for her.
Luke is so good for Jenna.
I don't know. I do like Luke, but
they get each other.
Yes.
Like, listen, Jenna and Maddie have this whole like. I mean, I'm a huge Jaddy fan, so I'm not trying to bash because I am Team Maddie forever. But like, they have that thing in high school where like you always think that this is gonna be who you're gonna be with, but like it's not, and you're allowed to have that. You're allowed to have that first love and that thing that will always be there. But like, I don't think in the end they're gonna be good together. But like Luke gets Jenna.
it.
I do agree with everything you're saying, but I cannot give up on Maddie. I cannot give up on Maddie.
I know.
Yeah. Like, it makes me so happy to see them, even in a flashback.
I want to see them together, her and Maddie, and I think that they do both need to go their separate ways, and because they've never actually gone their separate ways. They always say they are, and then they're always wrapped up in each other's lives. So I need them to actually split apart, go their separate ways, and maybe life will bring them back together.
I remember saying that to somebody last year when we were filming. I think probably Bo. I feel like we were talking about it because I was like, what do you feel about Jenna and Maddie?
Love that these are the conversations you guys are having in between scenes on the trailers.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that my car was in the shop, and so Bo gave me a ride home from sex. It was on his way, and I was like, yeah, so, what's going on? Like, dating Sully, Jenna and Maddie, like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know, we'll see.
Amazing. So well, thank you so much for joining us. We had so much fun. Please tell everyone, give a shout out in your camera over there where they can find you to talk to you about Awkward and plug any upcoming projects or anything you have that you want to get in there.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ¡Greer_Grammer. And yeah, season 5 of Awkward. I have a movie coming out in July called Emma's Chance, which is about a girl that rescues a horse. So that's really fun. So look out for that, I guess, and just keep watching Awkward.
Yeah, you guys can follow me, Veronica Gabriel, at Veronica on TV on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find all the shows we do here at AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV everywhere online. And you can find me at the Tiona Hobson. And one last prediction: I predict that because everyone's going to keep watching Awkward, maybe we'll get a season 6 out of it.
Ooh,
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
You're welcome.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.